Hi everyone, hope you're doing great. Welcome to another video in our Python for Test Automation series. In this video, we will explore Python functions, what they are, why they are useful, and how to use them effectively in our test scripts. Today we will cover what are functions, why do we use functions in our program, function syntax and how to define them, functions with and without arguments, functions with and without return types, function with variable arguments. We will also cover the practical example to see functions in action. Let's get started. In any programming language, function is a reusable block of code designed to perform a specific task, such as checking whether a given number is odd or even, or determining if a number is prime or not. Functions help to break a program into smaller modular components, making the code more structured, readable, and easier to maintain. Why are the functions used? Functions are mainly used for code reusability, meaning once you define a function, you can call the functions multiple times without rewriting the same code. Second one, modularity. You can break the entire program into a smaller manageable chunks that increases the maintainability. Now let's explore the syntax of function in Python. In Python, def keyword is used to define a function, followed by a function name and a parenthesis. For example, say hello. Parentheses may contain parameters which are optional. A function can be defined with or without a parameters. So here I will not use any parameter. After the parenthesis, a colon is used to indicate the function body, which must be indented. Function body contains a logic that defines what the function is designed to do. For example, to check whether the given number is even or odd. Here I will use just a print statement as a body. Additionally, function can return a value to the caller using the return statement, though returning a value is optional. So Python uses a keyword called return followed by a value, for example hello, to return a value back to the caller, and this is basically optional. In a nutshell, in Python, def keyword is used to define a function followed by the function name, then a parenthesis that contains a parameter which are optional, then a functional body that carries a logic with an indentation and a return statement to send the value back to the caller. Once the function is defined, it needs to be called in a program using its name followed by the parenthesis. If the function requires a parameter, then they must be provided with the parameters. If the function returns a value, it should be captured in a variable for a further use. We can call the function using the function name say hello. This function does not take any parameters, so you can keep it as empty here and just execute the program. So this program calls this function, and inside this function we are printing hello. So that is what we can see here in a console. Function parameters. Function can have a parameter or be defined without parameters. Previously we discussed function without parameter. Now let us consider a scenario where we want the function say hello to print a message without hard coding it. If you see here, we have hard coded the message as hello here. To achieve this, we need to pass the parameter to the function. Now let us modify our function accordingly. Let us add a parameter by name message and try to print this message using format printing. Now let us try to execute this. and you see Python gives an error because the function say hello expects one argument, but you are passing no argument here. So let us go and correct this by passing an argument. This is like say hello to all. Now let us try to execute this. You see the parameter that you have given while calling say hello will be stored in message, and we are trying to print the variable message. Additionally, function can accept multiple parameters, allowing us to pass multiple values. Let us explore this. I will go and modify this function. Instead of say hello, I'll say print my details. Takes three parameters: name, comma, age, comma, place, and we'll replace this here, and we'll pass three parameters: name as test troop, age as 25, 23, let us say, and place as Bombay. Let us try to execute this. Okay, so we will also have to change here. So we will give the message as name is name, comma, age is, make it as age, comma, place is place, and I will remove the return statement. Go and execute this. Says name is test troop, age is 23, and place is Bombay. What are the parameters that we pass here is get substituted with the corresponding variable. The value test troop is stored in name, 23 is stored in age, and Bombay is stored in a place. And while printing, it basically prints the value that is stored in these variables. Now let us try to pass a collection as a parameter. For this, let us try to write a different function. Print the collection, and parameter is collection. We will just print collection, and let us call this. And before calling a collection, let us define a fruits list. Which carries like apple, comma, banana, comma, and some nuts. And this fruit list will pass as an parameter here. And let's try to execute this. You see, whatever the parameter that we passed for the print collection function, that is getting printed in the inside the function. So we can also pass any kind of the arguments. It can be the simple arguments, or it can be the collections as well. Let's go back to our previous example where we are trying to print user details using name, age, and place. And what I will do here, I will try to exchange the parameters. Instead of passing a name first, I will pass an age first, and I think there is error here. Okay, let us try to execute this, and you see, now you see the name is 23, age is test troop, and place is Bombay. If you see here, it really creates a confusion, because in the place of name I was expecting test troop, but it printed the age. Okay, this is because here the Python process the parameter based on the position of an argument. It does not see that 23 is an age or the test troop as a name here. It processes the parameter. The function processes the parameter based on the sequence it is being supplied to it. Okay, based on the sequence that it receives it. Okay, so this basically causes a bit of confusion. In order to overcome that, Python has introduced another way of passing the parameter, which is called as the keyword based parameter. This is also called as keyword based argument. Let us see how to use the keyword based argument. The keyword based argument is using a key value pair. Okay, so if you see in the print my details function, we are using the three argument by name, age and place. So whatever the value you want to associate with the name, you will have to give it as name equals to. Similarly here I want it as age equals to, and here I can give it as a place equals to. Okay, now let us try to execute this. So I am mixing, or I am mixing the sequence of the parameters that is being passed. I am first passing an age, then passing a name, and then passing a place. But the print my detail function expects as a positional parameter, it expects the name to be first, but age to be second, and place to be third. Here I am using the keyword way of passing an argument using the key value pair. So this should give me name as test troop, age as 23, and place as Bombay. Let us try to execute this. You see, it has correctly given the name as test troop, age as 23, and place as Bombay. So keyword argument basically overcomes the confusion that is caused using the positional kind of an arguments. Now let's do a small experiment. So we will remove this third parameter as a place and now try to execute this function. Now this function throws an error because the myDetails function expects three parameters or three arguments, but we are only passing the two parameters or two arguments. This can be overcome with the help of a concept called the arguments or a parameter with our default values. So you can assign, by default you can assign some value to the parameter. For example, if here I will assign it as a Bangalore. Okay, even though you don't pass the parameter while you are calling this function, this will use a default value and process the and perform whatever the logic based on this default value. So we are using here to print. So while printing, it will print a place as Bangalore here. See, so this is how we can basically make use of the default value. One thing that you should remember while using a default value, the default value always starts first with the last parameter, then it goes to the left. So I can also assign a default value as age equal to 23, and I can remove this completely here, and I will also remove the keyword way of using the argument. I will just use as positional argument. And if you see, the first two values will be taken, the last two, the arguments are taken care by the default value, and the first value will be substituted with a test true. So order of reference is always assigning the default value. The order of reference is always first for the last variable. Okay, the last not the last variable, for the last parameter, followed by the sequence that goes to the left. Till now we have seen the fixed number of parameters. The myDetails function takes the three parameters here And Python also supports a concept called variable parameters or variable arguments. Let us see how to use it. Instead of these three parameters, I will just use star args. Star args is a keyword that is used to handle variable number of arguments. Okay, so let us try to print args here, and in the calling function we will say 23, then we will say as Bangalore, and then I will say I am an engineer. Right, now let us try to print this. So all the values whatever you pass here will be stored in this variable argument array, and this is basically not an array. Yeah, it says that it's an tuple. Basically it is an tuple. Okay, tuple is a collection where it is immutable. That means you cannot change the value of an argument once it is been created. Okay, let us try to execute this. You see, this is a tuple that carries the four arguments. Okay, this is how we basically in Python we can manage passing the variable amount or a variable arguments. Python also supports a variable keyword arguments, which is by using a keyword called ** kw args. Okay, and while calling this particular function you will have to use key value pair. I will be using name equal to name, then I will be using age equals to 23. I'm using place equals to Bangalore. This will be stored in the dictionary because it is a key value pair. This will be stored as part of the dictionary. KW-args is a dictionary that carries the keyword that basically carries the key value pair keyword based arguments, right? So now let us try to print it using the I have to give it as like this, then here age with the bracket. This is because the key is name here the key is age. This is how we can basically access a dictionary. We have already seen how to use the dictionary, how to access the elements of the dictionary. There is something missing. Yeah, this is correct now. So we are passing a variable number of parameters which are key value pairs, and this will be stored in a dictionary by name kw-args, and then using this kw-args with the help of the key we can retrieve the elements. See, the name is test troop, age is 23 and place is Bangalore. These are the different variation of the parameters that we can pass to the function. The function without any parameter, function when it has a parameter, you can pass the parameter as in positional way, or you can pass the parameters as in keyword way, or you can pass the variable number of arguments using *args. You can also pass as a variable number of keyword arguments. If you want to combine the positional arguments, the normal variable arguments and the keyword arguments, there is a sequence that you need to follow. Let us try to see that aspect. The sequence is always the first preference is for the positional argument. Let us take it as test troop. Then I am passing some arguments like 23, then Bangalore, then I am passing some keyword based arguments like job equals to engineer, country equals to India. Okay, and the order in which the function receives is always, it will be the positional argument first, followed by star args, then followed by the KW args, right? So the name will be stored in the test troop will be stored in a name variable. Age and Bangalore will be stored in the star args, and the job and country will be stored in KW args. So let us try to print them. So let us print first my name is name here, and my age will be stored in args, and it will be at an tuple, right? Tuple at an index 0. This is a tuple with an index 0, and my place will be at 1. Okay, and then followed by job, I have to give within quotes. Job is, you can use with the key as job, and you can say country is and you can pass now. Let us try to execute this. So the name will be stored, the test troop will be stored in name, age and Bangalore will be stored in args, and job and country will be stored in KW args. Let's try to execute this. And name is test troop, age is 23, place is Bangalore, job is in engineer, and country is in India. So this is the order of reference that we use when there is a combination of the positional arguments, the variable arguments, and the variable keyword arguments. The first preference is always positional argument, followed by the variable argument, followed by the variable keyword arguments. Now let us try to focus on function return values. As we've seen, the return value is always optional. The function can return a value, or function can be without returning any value. So let us try to see in certain cases what happens. You need you need a function to perform certain operations and return the value. This will be used for further processing. For example, if you want to calculate a sum of two numbers, you can basically create a function that adds two numbers and returns you a value. Okay, let us try a simple example. Example is definition add function, and this takes two parameters, a comma b, and then it says c equals to a plus b, and then you can return a value c. Okay, and while calling this, we will have to capture the return value in a variable, like result will be add function 2, 3, and we can use print result. So whatever the value that comes from this function will be captured in a variable called result, and then it will be printed. So this is how we can use a return type. Python also supports returning of multiple values. Let us try this. Function ret multiple values, no parameters. We can use return 10, 15, 30, and while calling, you can unpack this using the different variables like a comma b comma c equals to return multiple values. And now we can use print, then we can use formatted print, we can use then variable a, variable b, and variable c. Print 10, 15, 30. Let us see. Let us try to capture with only one variable and see what happens. All the values will be captured into a single variable, and this variable is of type tuple. Okay, by default, if you don't give any, by default, if you don't unpack them into the three variable, this will be stored in a single variable as a tuple. Now, along with the normal values, we'll also try to return a list. For example, something like this, and then we will unpack them, giving another variable as list, and we'll try to print this. Print C first and print list next. Try to execute. You see, the first variable carries 10 and remaining is a list. It will be stored in a list variable. This is how Python returns multiple values to the caller. Let us try some exercises. The first one, write a function to check whether a given number is even or odd. Okay, define even or odd. It takes a number as a parameter, and the logic is, if any number that is divisible by 2, then it is a even number, otherwise it is an odd. If number divisible by 2. If it is equals to 0, then we have to return true, else we will return else is colon, else return false. Let us check is equal to even or odd, then parameter you will pass it as 1, then print the check. Let's try to execute this. It is false. 0 should be true. Yes. I'll make it as 10. Yes. 101. Okay. So this is a function that checks whether a given number is even or odd. So this can be used any number of times within a given program. Okay, let us do an exercise to check whether a given number is prime or not. For this, we'll write a function prime or not. Parameter is number, then we have colon. We'll have to implement a bit of a logic here. The number is said to be prime when it is not divisible by the number itself or 1. Okay, and also by default 1 is not a prime number. So if the number is equal to 1, if a number is equals to 1, then we can return as false because it is not a prime number. Okay, then we'll have to have an else, and then we'll have to check whether the number is divisible from 2 to the number itself. Okay, for that we can use a for loop for I in a range 2 to the number 2 comma the number itself, then you have to give a colon, then if a number then divisible by I is equals to a 0, then we have to return a false, and for all the other cases it is true. So we'll have to write it true at this point. So we'll have to return true coming out from the if condition. Okay, there are redundant parentheses, we can also remove redundant parentheses, we can also remove. Now our code is clean. Let's take this and we can use check equals to 1, then print of a check false, correct, 2 is true, 3 is true, 3 is a prime number, 5 is a prime number, then 8 it is not a prime number, then we can give it as 99 false, then we have 100 false, Then we have 91 false. Then we have 13 which is true. Yeah. So this is how we can implement a function that can calculate given number is prime or not. That brings us to the end of this session. Today we explored what functions are and why we use them, function syntax and how to define them, functions with and without arguments, function with and without return types, functions with variable arguments, keyword arguments and returning multiple values, and a practical exercise to reinforce learning. I hope you enjoyed learning with me. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more contents. See you in next session. Happy coding and thank you for watching.